welcome back to another episode of One Step Further. I am Justin Arnold, and those for listening for the first time, this is a podcast. It's a faith-based podcast where we take things you may or may not be doing to take your life step one step further, of course, whether it be personally, professionally, spiritually, things like that. Today's guest is Marc. Marc and I met via the gym world, social media, connected through mutual friends. Just an amazing guy. He's down in Texas. His gym's officially open this week, so I just wanted to get on here, chat with him today, and see what it's all about, what's going on. So Marc, why don't you introduce yourself, tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Justin. I appreciate it. I'm Marc Zalmanoff, the fitness ninja. I'm making America fit again.
Love it. Check out that.
What I do.
If you're listening, he's got a cool hat that says "Make America Fit Again," by the way.
I've been doing this for, I've been doing fitness and nutrition coaching for 18 years now, which is crazy to think about it.
You look so young. For those that can't see, he looks so young. He's like 28.
That started when I was 10. And, I did the big box thing. I've worked in other people's gyms. I've owned gyms before, and I do have brick and mortar again. I'm in Frisco, Texas. I own a facility, about 3,000 square feet, where I do small group training and semi-private personal training. And yes, we are open again, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, this whole thing's just been crazy, right?
Trying not to be jealous, but
our industry is one of the weird ones, kind of stuck in this where there's ways to operate, and not a lot of us were ready. I'm very fortunate that I was ready. I was prepared for this that I didn't know I was prepared for. So having an online offering, being set up, being able to still train my people remotely was great. My wife is a hairstylist, and that's probably one of the hardest hit industries because you can't do hair remotely.
Yeah, and even here in New York, I'll chime in here for a sec. Here in New York, I know some people have gotten busted for doing the house-to-house thing too, and you can lose your license. So you got to be real careful with that for sure. So.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and she's back to work, and I got the gym open again. So we're doing all the right things and taking the precautions. But I think a lot of people are just ready to get back out of the house and get some normalcy again.
Yeah, what's that look like? What's been the first week? What's been everyone's take on it? I mean, how are people? People feeling comfortable? Are they scared to breathe next time? What's the atmosphere like? I want to hear how it's going with the reception of things. So
yeah, so I think there's a huge benefit to the intimate gym setting. Even before this, when people knew this was going to be a thing, and there was news coming out of China and Italy. I had a lot of clients at the time saying, if this was 24-hour, I wouldn't be there. If this was LA Fitness, I wouldn't be there. I'm here because I trust you and I trust the people in here, because most of my groups are 5 to 10 people at the most. And we all know each other. We hang out together. We're friends. And so people feel comfortable coming into this environment. And when I knew we were going to be able to open back up, I just started putting feelers out and saying, hey, who's ready to come back? And surprisingly, a vast majority of them were ready, and no one really cares. Everybody's coming in, they're like, oh, what do you want me to do? Okay, I'll wash my hands. All right, I'll wash my hands. So, and we're cleaning everything, and I'm sanitizing everything. But honestly, the majority of my people, and I train older people too. It's not there's a bunch of 20-year-olds. Most of us are 40 and up. I have a lot of 60 plus clients. They were just ready to start moving again. It was really interesting to me how positive the response was to get back in the gym.
Yeah, that's refreshing to hear. Here in New York, I'm curious too. I mean, my gym is very similar to what he's talking about there. Mine's, for those listening, I'm very much a personal training studio. We do small groups again, about that 5 to 10 max. And I have a lot of people already messaging me, itching to get back, wanting to get back. Definitely want safety protocols, but here is a little bit different, where there's people that are still very nervous. Obviously so. And we work with a lot of older populations, special populations here. So those compromised immune systems and health concerns. So it's interesting to hear that there's a pretty good reception. Now, as far as you were ready to transition, which is great for those that are listening. Yeah, he even helped me transition a little bit, gave me some great tools and advice and tips. So for those that are looking, definitely reach out. But I guess what I want to know is have you lost anything? Have you gained anything? What's kind of been that, as far as members or what during this whole process?
Yeah, I lost a couple of members just, for financial reasons. I mean, like everyone else, I had people that lost a job or their spouse lost a job. So things got uncertain real fast for a lot of people. And so, I knew that was going to be part of the process. But in the meantime, I've also made up for that in online clients that I picked up, which was awesome.
That's awesome.
The systems that I've had in place for years now allow me to train people remotely. Whether they have equipment or not doesn't even matter. If they got a goal, I can get them to that goal. So for me, it was eye-opening because it gave me a chance to sleep. And I swear, I don't think I've slept that much since like high school, because I'm a coach. So I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning for years on end. And
not to interject, but like to defend this guy, like when you're passionate about serving people, he's not saying because he's like grinding working in his life. He's saying that in a positive way, right? Am I correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because that's me. I'm getting about 6 hours, even though I tell my clients to get that 7 and 8. I'm sure you're doing something similar. Because I just can't wait to wake up. I started waking up earlier during this whole process because I've been getting to bed early. So I've been waking up at like 4:30 in the morning just because I want to read. I want to do some personal development. I want to spend time with my kids. We go for the daily walk. So I just want to interject there to like let people know it's like, man, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
Why, guys? So, go ahead. Continue what you were saying though.
My normal 5 a.m. people in the gym are great. They come in with a smile on their face and I love being around them, but it's nice to actually get a full night's worth of sleep consistently. And I could tell the difference. And so for me, it was kind of eye-opening of what I want my career to continue to look like moving forward, and really open my mind a little bit to how do I start to craft that more ideal business than I already have. So it's been interesting, and I've definitely enjoyed it. And I'm a naturally optimistic, positive person. So
I've noticed that about you. That's what I love about you. So
the sky was never falling when this happened, and when I had the gym down, it was nice to be able to just tell my clients, here's what we're going to do right now. And I think there were so many people searching for leadership during this time. And as coaches, we're viewed in that realm.
Yeah, sure.
Because people are showing up for us to tell them what to do and how to do, and they're relying on our expertise. So in that one facet of their life, we're seen as that leader. And I think it was so important for people to step up and assume that role, whether you felt like it or not. Like, to me, doesn't matter. Like, you chose to be in this position, which means it's your time to shine. Mm-hmm. So I didn't, again, I'm very fortunate. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't sad. I wasn't worried. I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to continue to take care of my clients. This is how I'm going to continue to take care of my family, especially with my wife being out of work. That was a hit to the money coming in the household.
Oh, for sure.
So, so to be able to confidently continue to move forward and have a solution to things and be able to work through problems and still serve the people that I serve, it felt really good. And I think people really appreciated that. And everything was so well received from my client side of me being able to go to them with confidence and say, here's what's happening. Here's how I'm going to continue to serve you. Here's what it's going to look like. Here's how we're going to communicate. And everybody went, okay, let's do it. I didn't get any pushback at all. So it was really nice. And now on the back end of it, as we get back into the gym, I'm figuring out the people that actually did do something, that actually did the online workouts.
You're noticing like, okay, these people are definitely working out, man. It's like we haven't missed a beat. And then you got others like coming in. Wait, who are you?
Yeah.
Joe. Hi, Joe. And it's like, man, Joe looks like 100.
Yeah. But what's great is they were all so very thankful to still have the availability to work out, to, have the constant communication with me. And just, again, the loss of control, I think, is what really affected everyone. For sure. When all of a sudden you can't go do this.
Toilet paper. Yeah. Toilet paper, right?
You can't wipe your ass the way you're supposed to. So, so anything in anyone's life that was quote unquote normal felt good.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I really strive to provide some sort of normalcy during that time. And, you know, we'd get on and do like live Zoom calls and have like a happy hour that had nothing to do with fitness. It was really just us chit chatting and connecting,
That's
and,
awesome, man. I
and
love
having that human element that everyone was really, really missing.
Yeah, and that's one thing like I noticed too, like during this whole process. Now, it sounds like you do very similar as far as like a whole approach to health and wellness, but mine just evolved during all this, especially with, you know, just online. Like I had clients literally where it's like they wanted me to show them their workout routine and then they just shoot me videos later, but it was more like, let's just spend the next 30 minutes just like they just wanted to like talk, and it was just they would just wanted to bond, and it was almost turned into like a life coaching session. Now it's cool, so we were able to really dive into true whole body health in a much deeper fashion than in like an hour 15 here that we could at the gym. So it also got me really optimistic and looking forward to this. It also made it where there's like no excuses, like, you know, when people like, oh, I can't make it today, or I'm canceling, it's like my car broke down. Well, pop up in the computer, we can still get this done, or I'm going on a trip or whatever. Like it made those things possible. Man, it's so refreshing to hear that you're having such a good reception. Now, did you have to make any changes as far as like, say, for those of the gym owners that are listening, like liability waivers or like protocols or like spacing? I know, like, for example, here there's gyms like posting pictures and showing how they're already taping out parts of the room 6 feet apart. This is your equipment. Don't touch anything else while you're in here. Are you guys doing stuff like that there, or what's going on?
So for these first few weeks, I'm limiting class size. So I am making sure that we don't have an overabundance of people. I'm taking into consideration when I'm planning the workouts, how much equipment people need to do the workout. So trying to limit the amount of touches that, you know, we have to do. So somebody's not going from the rower to the bike and then has to go back to the rower again, where, you know, okay, now we got to clean everything every minute. But, you know, I told them all this, and again,
it's Max, right?
yeah. So, you know, I have a good sense of humor, which means my clients do too. I'm like, look, we're all grown ass people. And, you know, I'm assuming you understand there's an inherent risk and this is heightened a little bit. So when you come in, you're going to, you know, sanitize your hands. We're going to make sure and wipe things down. But honestly, like if you're not really comfortable, don't come back yet. Like I'll keep servicing you online. I'll provide whatever you need. But if you're not comfortable being around, you know, 4, 5, 6 people that are breathing hard, then you probably just shouldn't be here. And everyone's been so respectful of it. And I have a handful of people that they're still home and they've just been honest with me. They're like, you know what, we're not going out yet. And I'm like, okay, it's totally fine.
I think that's the key. People into this, oh, I can't work out, but I'm like, this is a great opportunity to develop skills, find fitness, and maybe work on other things that you needed to, like mobility or aspect. And you're setting that no limits atmosphere of like, hey, just because you don't have a gym doesn't mean you can't stay fit, and we're here to still support you. And I really love that. I mean, so same here. Like, I think you posted something, but correct me if I'm wrong. Was there a requirement for like masks there? Because I've had people ask me if I was going to do that here. I'll give my 2 cents, but I wanted to hear about that real quick.
It was a recommendation.
Okay.
By
the
requirement.
Okay.
But it was not a requirement.
Like latex gloves, no regular gloves. Yeah.
Obviously made by people who never work out.
Yeah. And so for those that are like, because I actually had a client, I thought, you know, who asked me about that, well, I will have to wear this. And I was like, it'd actually be more dangerous. You know, latex gloves are slippery. So you're grabbing something, you drop something, breathing in your own carbon dioxide when your heart rate is up, when you're already breathing heavily. I don't think that's best interest of your health. So for those that are familiar, so yeah, it sounds like you're doing the right thing to take care of your members. It'll be interesting. I'll give you feedback as soon as things start opening their way up here. Any other kind of changes or anything you like to share for gym owners that are listening, like all over the country? Because we're on 8 platforms now, so there might be a lot of people listening to this. So it'd be interesting to hear of anything to help people through this time, as far as gym owners or even clients that might be hesitant going back into the gym. And I think you pointed out good as far as smaller space compared to like these bigger gyms like ours. So anything else that you'd like to talk about on that?
Yeah, you know, I think as a gym owner, the best thing we can always do is lay out the expectations. And, you know, we just can't communicate enough with our members, because they want to come back, but they also want to feel safe when they do.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so the more communication we have, the more open we are about what we're doing, what the process is. Again, I've said this 1,000 times. I don't care whether you agree with things or you think this is political, or none of that matters. Like, we're talking about the human beings that are in front of you, that are entrusting you. And it's your responsibility to be as responsible as you can for those people. So letting them know what's happening, letting them know what you're doing so they feel comfortable. Because you know, this is all going to pass at some point. Like, you know, and it could be next week, or it could be 3-4 months from now, or it could be next year. We don't know. But people are going to remember how we reacted to this.
Yeah.
And those that were hateful and spiteful and you know, ranting and raving about things, like, people are going to remember that. And then on the other side, thankfully, people are also going to remember those of us who chose to remain positive and chose to try to, you know, help instill hope in people and provide solutions instead of being part of the problem. And you know, those of us that have done that will absolutely thrive in the long run.
I think that's great too. Like what you said, like, you know, it doesn't matter what your personal opinion is, but it comes down to just people's safety, feeling comfortable, doing the right thing. And then again, just keeping that positive, optimistic outlook, and just being there, being the light, as I like to put it, you know, and putting people over profit every day. And that's just, sounds like you guys are doing great things down there. And man, makes me want to come hang out at your gym. No. So like I said, this podcast is all about helping people out. And if you were to give you gave some great tips for gym owners. What about for as far as like clients or people that have never hit the gym, that even more now than ever, it's like, man, their reasons were like time and money and like a lot of other reasons or excuses they weren't hitting the gym. What about those people like that were already afraid to go into the gym? What would you be telling them right now? That's a new one.
To me, you know, fitness is all about moving the needle forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times it becomes this daunting task that everyone thinks I got to overhaul everything in my life to get fit. And, you know, as research comes out about COVID-19 and showing the contraindications of people that have heart disease and diabetes and pressure and high cholesterol, and how those people are more at risk for severe symptoms or death from this, like, it should be a wake-up call to a lot of people that they need to do something. And, you know, if there was already trepidation about going into a gym in the first place, there's probably a lot more.
Yeah.
So, you know, the goal is do something, because something is always better than nothing. So, you know, walk to the end of the block today and walk back. And tomorrow you walk a little bit further. And I think people just overestimate what has to be done right now, because they just think they got to change everything. They think, you know, tomorrow I got to wake up and I got to work out for 2 hours and I got to eat, you know,
they got to match whatever they see somebody else that they might know or may see on social media. Yeah. And it's everyone, and it's the microwave world, as I like to call it, the firework. We see the end result, but we don't know what it takes to get there, you know, especially for wealthy people, successful people, super healthy people. And the key is like those little daily slide edge steps, just taking one little step. And you just said, walk to the end of the block. And then the next day, maybe walk halfway around. And then maybe the next day you're getting to the point where you're walking around the block. And then you get to the point where like 3 months down the road where you're doing like push-ups before you're walking in between, and then you're adding different interval work. And then you're calling up Mark or me and you're like, hey, how can I take my fitness a step further? And it's just like that. And you're never too old. And I think that's another thing. Like, I've got clients, and it sounds like you might too, like 70s, you know, 80s. Yeah. And I think people they're in their 40s or 50s, like, man, I wish I would have started. You know what? You'd be surprised what you can accomplish. I mean, anything else you like to touch on that? Like, as far as, you know, for those people, like people that have got it in their head that like they're just 40 or 50. I mean, it's kind of the same thing, but like, anything else you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, it really, you know, it's the cliche, but it's true that it's never too late. You know, I got a lady I've been training for, I don't know, 7-8 years now, 68, 69 years old, still hitting PRs on deadlift. And, you know, I mean, it's amazing. But, you know, she has dedicated herself to being healthy because her and her husband are retired and she wants to live. She doesn't want to just exist. So like they built a house out in West Texas that they go out to every other weekend, and they take care of the yard. And other than they didn't build the house, but they've done everything else. They've laid the rock down and built these huge planters, but they've done it themselves because they're healthy and they're fit and because they can. And so instead of paying someone, which they could obviously afford to do, they're like, no, we want to do it because we're healthy enough to do it. And it keeps them occupied. It keeps them active. It keeps them healthy. It keeps their mind sharp. And look, most of us are probably going to live a pretty long time. I mean, that's kind of, so what do you want those last like 20 something years to look like? Are you just going to be sitting in a chair? Or are you going to be doing something?
Yeah. I mean, I think that I love that story. What you said is health. I think we look at this, and there's people out there that look at it as like an aesthetic thing. Or looking a certain way or getting ready for that vacation. But it's like, I always want people to dig deeper. And it sounds like that, the ability to put together your own house. Or, I'm working with a guy right now virtually, and it was one of those things. We got down to it after a conversation. It took a little bit, like, why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? He wants to be able to move, breathe, and play not only with his grandchildren, but see them get married, see even possibly great grandchildren. And I basically asked him, on the path that you're on right now, is that possible? And it was that gut check moment. And like, It's bigger than you. It's bigger than the aesthetics. Like trainers like him and I, if you do things right, you'll get the aesthetics. Great. Awesome. But the biggest thing is, what is your why? Like, what is the deep reason you want to do this? Why you should start today, whether it's virtually, there's no excuses anymore. People can help you in so many different aspects. You don't actually have to step foot in the gym. And the point is, you just got to start. And then maybe that little baby step. And the point is, you got to think like, don't set the limitation that it's not possible, but because if you want to, like, for example, that guy be there for his grandchild's wedding and possibly great grandchildren, like he needs to change the pathway. And I always like to look at, and I actually talked about this on a podcast, but I'll talk about it again because I love it. It's like everyone thinks they're here. Like, okay, well, I'm stuck, so I'm just going to float. You're either going here or here. It's always a curve.
Yep.
Life is always a curve. It's not a flat line. Like, and I feel like a lot of people think they're around like their 20s after college, even after high school. They think they're just on this flat line, but you're either going down or going up in all those aspects. So you need to decide which route you're on. And all it takes is like one little step up, like think of stairs, or one little step down. And it's that walk at the end of the block. So cool. Well, like I said, this is one step further, and it is a faith-based podcast. I know you're wearing a cross there, so I know you're a big believer, dude. Is there you've given so many awesome nuggets. This guy's a cool dude. If you don't know him, I'm going to put his links below and some information. I'm so grateful to have met him. But is there anything from a faith perspective or any other personal stuff you'd like to add value to people's lives before we wrap this up?
There's a tremendous church that I'm a member of here in Frisco, and the pastor he's incredible. And when you talk about what it means to be a Christian, all religion, Christianity, Muslim, but like they all got a bad rap, right? Because, the extremists in all of them are the ones that get out in front of people and you're like, would you shut up, Westboro Baptist? Oh my gosh.
Or extreme, the KKK.
Like, right.
Yeah.
But he teaches all the time. And this is really the goal is he says, the goal of being a Christian is to be more like Christ, period. And it's funny because he'll be like, you know what that means? It means love your neighbor. And that means love your Republican neighbor and love your Democrat neighbor and love your gay neighbor and love your straight neighbor. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Like if you are a Christian and you claim to be one, then you live like Christ. You try to be more Christ-like. And we're all going to fall short. We know that. But if you operate with that mentality and you view life through that lens, it allows you to give compassion and grace at a level that most people don't. And at not at the same level that we're given, but it does. It moves us that one little step closer to being more Christ-like.
Look at that. You just gave personal development. How do you move better in your personal? Just start loving. Just start loving, man. You could love like Jesus. That's awesome, man. Jesus is like one of those people when people always get weirded out. Like, you know, you ever been asked that question? Like, what's one person you'd like to meet? People say Abraham Lincoln. Always, I mean, I'd like to meet him too, but I'm almost like, I want to meet Jesus, man. Like, this is the dude that could love anybody, but call people out at the same time. And then when he got his ego, when things got too big, he would walk away. He would also wake up early and he would climb a mountain. And the Bible, I don't think really does it justice. Like, he would climb some massive, our church did this perspective. It was like, this is the mountain that he climbed to go pray at like 5 a.m. I'm like, by himself, like, that's Jesus. Like, so you're going hiking with the dude, you're praying with strangers, like, man, yeah. So I want to meet that guy. But yeah, I think you left us on a great note. Like, love everybody, love first. You know, I posted something a couple weeks ago about, you know, if you had a choice between winning an argument or being kind, kindness every time. So
every
awesome.
time.
Well, it's a real pleasure, man. This is super awesome. For those that don't know him, again, going to put some stuff below, reach out to this guy. And for those that are listening, new, old, whatever, we appreciate you. Thanks a lot. Have an awesome day.